Do you have my mic on, babe?
Yes.
Mwah. Hey, everyone.
Hey, this is Gil
And
from
Renee.
the Rich Relationship Refuge. Saturday night. I don't know if can we call this live?
Yeah, we can call it Saturday Night Live. That's what it is. It's live in Saturday's night. And we have a new room that we're in. If you notice, we have a new grown-up studio.
Renee worked really, really hard on it, but we thank her for
Yeah.
that. But we'll give you a chance to see it. We'll show it a little bit
I have a
later.
video. I'll put it up.
Yeah.
But tonight we are going to...
Let me adjust some lighting. Go
Okay,
ahead.
just going to adjust the lighting. But tonight we are really thankful for all of you guys who watched and shared and who are part of this community. Tonight we are going to talk about why rich couples don't cheat. I know you say that's a bold statement, sister. Yes, why rich couples don't cheat. And we talked last week about rich, what rich meant. It is people who are resilient, who walk in integrity, who lead with compassion, and who are driven by or allow humility to shape their life. So those are the people we're talking to. It's a journey that we're trying to go on of becoming rich, but we're going to talk about why people cheat.
Why do people?
Why we're talking about why rich couples don't cheat, and we're going to show you some of the reasons that people cheat. Why do people cheat? There's a reason why people cheat, and a lot of times people cheat because of something that's really going on inside of their heart, something that's missing. So we're going to talk tonight about what we need to keep us from cheating.
I think it's important to kind of set the ground because
I'm coming in hot.
based on all of the comments from the shorts and those things, everybody has an ideal, an opinion, and a viewpoint on relationships.
Yes.
And we're in this space because we wanted to invest in people in their relationships, especially people who are just getting started on this journey. Because let's just be honest, we all have baggage that we drag into our relationships. We all have things that have happened, and it's going to impact our relationships today if we don't get new information and new things and new ways of doing things. And we welcome you guys for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Comment, like, this is a dialogue. We are just talking back and forth with you guys. We because there's a lot of people who like to comment. Renee's been in comments all day, which is great, but we want to make sure that we're just not having comments just for the sake of comments. We always want to bring value and into your relationships, because that's why we do what we do, and that's why we invest this time to invest into all of you guys out there.
Yeah, and we love you guys, and we're really grateful that our community is growing. We have a surprise. We're going to share that later on, a little bit in the middle. But one of the reasons why rich couples don't cheat is because they have understood and adopted a mutual understanding of what love is. And so what love looks like to each individual person is going to look different. So if you, we all have heard of the 5 love languages. That's something that's important to do and to know what your love language is. Because I know when we were younger, that was something we really missed each other a lot on. Because I didn't know your love language. You didn't know my love language. And so now we've learned that. And so I really am grateful for the nature of my husband, because he has these wonderful things that he has written out to make this trackable and duplicatable. And we'll also share the notes with you guys.
They'll be in the comments and all
we'll
that
put
good
that
stuff.
in the
We'll put it in
comments.
there to review, because as you're going through all this stuff, we try to give you a lot of information, but we always want to, like I said, establish a foundation. And the foundation that we do, and just like we've been commenting to, Renee's been commenting to people today, is the Bible and our relationship with Christ.
Jesus, the Word, and the blood.
That is the foundation for every relationship, regardless of what your background and what you may think, this is where we're coming from. So all we can do is define where we're coming from. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If you're familiar with it, it is the love chapter. And guess what? There, the Bible also has a statement that says there is nothing new under the sun.
Yes.
So whether you heard that in a song or not, no, it came from the Bible. They just put some new nice beats to it and some lyrics to it, but there's nothing new under the sun. And in that sense, because when it comes to love and your relationships, you are unique. Your situation is not.
And you know how this topic came up? I asked Gil, because we've been married for 35 years. I have never cheated on Gil.
And of course, I have not cheated on Renee.
And so I asked him, I said, well, why haven't you cheated?
Yeah.
You know, why haven't you? And I know I answered, and I said, you know, there's reasons why people cheat. And I really believe that it is an internal thing. It really doesn't have anything to do with the other person, but it can help when you kind of have some guidelines. I don't think that people are human. People are people. And I know when we first got married, I always say, if you cheat on me, it's till death do us part, and I'm gonna kill you. And I used to say that all the time, and then I realized we were telling our daughter that, I'm like, we can't tell, we got to change that.
Right.
So
right.
Of course I've grown, I've matured. I realized that sometimes people cheat and it has nothing to do with you, and that's when you have to be able to extend grace. It depending on where you are, and we see lots of different ways of people dealing with it.
So let's jump into it and give you some of the things that we're talking about as it pertains to
equipping you to not have to or want to cheat.
With the topics is, and we kind of narrowed it down to 3 main ingredients when it comes to your relationships. That is a gauge for if you're being fulfilled in these 3 areas. There's a high likelihood, or I should say a low likelihood, that you will step outside of your relationship. Starting out with, and Renee came up with this because we started out with this conversation, and the 3 key elements are.
Because I said, baby, why have you never cheated on me? He said, because my needs are met. I was like,
that's right.
Oh.
But
okay.
but when you break it down even more, when you talk about your needs,
what are those needs?
The needs break down into 3 areas, and those 3 areas are love,
yes,
nurturing, and support.
Yes.
And we're going to break each one of those down for you a little bit deeper, but everybody thinks about love in different contexts.
But most people think about love, they're thinking about emotions, they're thinking about feelings. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the love that is an emotional connection.
Right.
We're talking about love that is that you make a conscious decision to extend yourself, to yield yourself to someone. The love that we're talking about, it makes you feel valued. That's what someone put it in the comments. They said, man, you can always tell when a woman is being loved properly because of the way she glows. And I really believe that when you're loved and respected and honored, it really does. It shows in the way you live your life. It shows in the way that you even communicate with each other.
So as you're putting it in the comments, and I'm kind of reading them as we go, so that if you do have a question or a comment or something you want to put in there, if it's within the boundaries and the taste of what we're talking about, yes, we will shout it out. We will call it out.
Yes.
People are asking for shout outs. Well, if you want to shout out, put a question up, put a comment in, and then we will shout you out.
And where are you shouting us out from? Where are you at?
I'll put it this way. We're going to shout you out if you engage and if you add value to the conversation. How about that? So we'll shout you out in that context. But if you do have a question, and just like you're saying here, if it's a genuine question, even if it's insensitive, we can talk about it and we'll review it and see it. If it is something that we think that will bring value to other people who are watching, then yeah, we'll definitely bring it up.
But if you have a question that you believe is sensitive, reach out to us. Our email is richrelationshiprefuge@gmail.com. Or you can go to help@richrelationshiprefuge.com, because we do want to help you, but this is not a session. This is a time where we can talk and dialogue, but sometimes some topics are too sensitive to do in an open platform like that. So because this is what we do, we don't ever want to put anyone on blast.
Yep. So when we talk about it, so Renee already talked about the emotional connection.
Something. What did that
say? From my experience and those around me, I've noticed that Black people tend to be homophobic around me. I'm just curious why that seems to be the case with that community. Can't answer that one when
Yeah,
we're talking about it. So what we're talking about, I would need more context in what you're talking about. But when we're talking about this in a context of the relationship, we're talking about it from why people are cheating. That's
right.
what we're trying to do, is stay on
Yes.
topic and not veer off into rabbit holes, because we can go down the rabbit hole and we
Yeah.
won't get to cover and talk about the things that we people are kind of engaged about. So no, it's no reason to apologize. We just
Oh,
want to make
yeah.
sure we just kind of level it, everything when it comes to the comments. So when we talk about it, for Renee already mentioned the emotional connection, and hopefully you may get an answer to your question as we go through these things
Yes.
about it when it comes to relationships. Intimacy. People hear that word and that term and they think automatically the first thing they usually gravitate to
It's
is
sex.
sex. We're not talking about that type of intimacy. Why don't you elaborate a little bit on the intimacy we're talking about?
Well, it's important to understand that intimacy, emotional, spiritual, intimacy can lead to sex, but you can have intimacy without sex, because basically intimacy is the ability to know yourself and be known. It's to be vulnerable, it's to be transparent, and that's what's important to cultivate. Because what we see in our generation, in this generation, we see people being sexually intimate but not emotionally. Like, you can have sex with someone, they don't know your middle name, they don't know how much
Any
money you make, they don't know your birthday, they don't know your favorite ice cream. So it's important that you develop emotional and spiritual intimacy before you just jump into sexual intimacy, because that again goes back to your feelings.
Yep, and go ahead. No, go ahead.
And
Finish
so
your thought.
we want to kind of help you to have a love that is sustainable and a love that is genuine, and that is not a feeling, that is a choice.
And when you think about the intimacy, it really starts out with you being kind of like what my shirt say a little bit about being
Hot.
hot, honest, open, and transparent. The hotter you can be with somebody, that's where you really establish intimacy with that person. And the more hot you are with that person, guess what? Sex is going to play a very small role in it.
It's a very beautiful
And
role
if
in
you're
marriage.
I was
In
boy, say that,
marriage,
girl,
in
say
marriage,
that, say
in
that.
marriage.
We want to quantify everything that we're talking about it from
Yeah,
that to
within marriage.
another thing that you, when we talk about it when it comes to love, is you actually have to value what the other person, your partner that you're in the relationship with. If that person is not feeling valued, they don't have the emotional connection, they don't have the intimacy, they're not feeling like they're valued, guess what they're going to do? They're probably going to stray.
Yeah.
So when we talk about value, I'm talking about it from the context of you actually caring about the things that they're caring about, the
I'm
things
talking
that
about
are
like
important.
when he talks to you and he's flirting with you, he makes you blush.
She blushed today.
Yeah.
She blushed today. We were talking and she was talking about how you talk to people, but I say, well, when you talk to your significant other, your whole countenance and your voice and your
No, he
inflection
started
and
off
all
with
that.
saying, "Do you still, if you're not still getting butterflies, something
Do
is
you
wrong."
get butterflies in your stomach when you with your partner? I'm telling you, if you still don't get butterflies after 35 years, I still get butterflies with Renee. There are certain things that she may say or that she may do, you still blush. You still get
Yeah.
butterflies. And she got it right then and she was like she was like arguing, y'all. She was arguing, and then I put on the phone call voice. You know that voice. See, she's laughing. The voice that you have when you call in your significant other, you remember? Go back to when you were dating
Yeah.
and when you were courting, however you want to describe it, when
Yeah.
you're trying to get with this person, you put on that voice. You just start.
I love that voice.
See, she's doing it. But you put on that voice, and ladies, y'all know y'all get a little bit more smoother, a little sexier with the.
Yeah.
See, she's
Yeah.
saying yeah now, but she wasn't
Hey,
saying that.
baby.
See, hold on, simmer down, simmer down. We gonna keep it. We gonna keep it nice. We gonna
PG. Okay. I'm
we
sorry.
gonna keep, yeah.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's talk about mutual respect.
I talked about that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
You talked
so
about mutual respect.
let's go to. So we talked about love. So there's 3 things we're gonna talk about tonight. The first one is love.
Yep.
We kind of broke love down. So now we're gonna talk about the word that Gil was like, people don't like that word because it sounds weak.
The word is nurture.
Nurture.
Nurture from a guy's perspective, guys. I mean, if you're out there, hit me up. I mean, say it. I thought even just thinking about it, I was like, nurture. That's a woman thing. Ain't nobody nurturing
Everyone
nothing.
needs to be nurtured.
But then, you know what? When she said that, I started thinking about it this afternoon, and I looked up the word. And when you really think about it, you want to be doing this in your relationship, because what it really talks about is care and encouragement for development, positive, those types of things. So you definitely want to nurture your relationship when you think
And
about
some of the ways you can nurture your man is to tell him that you're proud of him, that you love him. Another way you can nurture him is like y'all saw I made a video. I was making some chicken salad. He told me he wants some chicken salad. I made him some chicken salad. Nurturing is a form of serving that meets more than just a physical need. It meets an emotional need. It meets a need, because guess what? That's what we all grew up being exposed to, is being nurtured. And so a lot of times people will say, oh, he married someone like his mom. Well, if your mom was nurturing, then that's what you're going to look for. And unfortunately, sometimes that was absent. And so
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to bring in, even in this comment, is it made me think about Renee is into gardening. She started to garden again since we just moved back to Texas. She's in here and she's got a little, patio garden. She's working on it. But I thought about it. When you think about nurture, think about it in this context and in the context of your relationship, but with the ideal of a garden. And when we say that, I'm talking about when you plant a garden, the first thing you do is plant seeds.
yes,
Just like in your relationship, when you're dating or you're just getting started, you should be planting positive seeds, the things that you want to grow. Emphasize that point, the positive things that you want to grow in your relationship. Because what's going to happen is life is going to take over, and these things called weeds are going to come into your garden.
Choke out the seeds.
If you don't care for your garden, think about it in what we're talking about, nurturing. If you're not caring for your garden, the weeds are going to come and choke it out, just like in your relationship. If you're seeded and you're positive and you're growing and you're watering and you're nurturing your garden, and then those seeds come and you don't take care of them, guess what's going to happen? It's going to choke out the relationship, or it's going to lead you to say, you know what, I'm going to get a new garden. And you know what that means.
Yeah, and normally the grass always looks greener on the other side, and sometimes it's greener because you're just not over there. And so it's just important that we realize that Gil said at the beginning, we all bring a lot of baggage. And so it's better to nurture the garden you already have built and established than to be looking around at other people's lawn. It's important that you nurture. And the thing is that we both, men and women, both need to be nurtured. And I think that's something that we're talking about, is that so many times we lead with so many things. The things that we're talking about, if you lead with these three things, because I was like, I don't know what made Gil want to marry me. I don't know. But when I saw this, I was like, you know what? Okay, I can understand that.
Yeah, so even as you go even a little bit further with the nurturing aspect, it requires your attention. You have to be attentive and intentional about the relationship. If you are just kind of getting a little bit lazy or complacent,
or you're not pursuing,
because
you're not calling, you're not responding, you're not initiating anything, that's not nurturing. And so these are just some of the things for us to be checking. Oh, am I loving? Am I nurturing?
How many times do you neglect, or take for granted your partner? When you start taking your partner for granted, that's a sign that some weeds have come in.
Yeah.
The weed of neglect, the weed of complacency, the weed of boredom.
Yeah.
And if you're bored in the relationship, guess who's responsible for kickstarting that thing?
You talked about that last week. It's the man's job
and
to lead and love. So that's your role and that's your job. And so a lot of times men sometimes look to women to do it. And because I was talking to someone, they were saying, these men, they don't even want to pay for anything. I said, sweetie, that's not a man, that's a boy. Because there's things that men know that they're called to do, and that you don't have to tell them to do it. And so investing time, investing your attention is an important part of nurturing a relationship.
So the other part about nurturing is, do you support each other in getting better at whatever, whether it's a hobby,
use an example
a vocation,
of eating, like cooking.
Yeah.
Like if you know that the other person is trying to lose weight or be healthier, prepare meals for them. How
are you supporting them?
Yes.
I think about when Renee was starting to learn, even all the tech stuff that she was doing. y'all believe it or not, Renee does a lot of the tech stuff that you see, whether it's on the website, whether it's on the YouTube and all those things. That's all Renee. Even though I'm in the tech field, that's all Renee. She's doing all that stuff. But guess what? It was because I encouraged her to get more tech savvy. One, because I got tired of like fixing the computer and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you. But
teach a man to fish.
yeah, but she done took it far beyond even my capabilities right now. And this is what I do for a living. You know, so she's far beyond some of the things that she can do tech wise. But what that does is goes back to being nurturing. You're basically positively encouraging the development and the growth of your significant other. Are you doing that? If you're not doing that, guess what? That's a weed.
Yeah.
You know, and you need to prune that thing. You need to rip it out and say, you know what, babe, or babe goes both ways. You need to. You're doing good at that, or just encouraging you. We talked about the love languages of words of affirmation,
and we like the sandwich. 2 positive things, 1 negative thing. I am not going to give Gil 5 things that he needs to work on because that's overwhelming. So a part of being nurturing is being mindful of the fact that no one is encouraged by being torn down.
right?
No one is encouraged by that. And so to nurture them, you have to make sure that you're doing things that are going to build them up and give them the ability to feel like they can accomplish anything when you're together and you're support.
When I think about it, and I know this is somebody's probably going to put it in the comments. Well, what if that person, what if they don't do it? What if they ain't never encouraging to me?
Yeah, that.
It kind of goes back to what we talked about last week. Be first to love. Be first to the punch. Be first to do the thing. Sometimes if you want something, you have to plant some seeds.
You have to be the change you want to see. And I know a lot of these things that we're saying may seem challenging. And a lot of times it's challenging because we're trying to do it in our own power. And so when you have a relationship with God, He empowers you to do a lot of the things we're saying to do because you're doing it in His power, not in yours.
And I'll say this part. We've been doing this together thing as far as boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife for 35 or over 40 years now. Is with each other.
Well, we
38, 39 years.
30, yeah.
38 plus years and 35 married. You know, so I think we're just sharing with you the things that we know worked with us.
Yeah.
Now, these are just some of the principles. Now, you also obviously can take them and make them work for your relationship and you know, massage them around the edges and
but you got to have love, nurturing, and support.
Regardless of
how that looks like. It's going to look for each individual couple is going to be different.
Yeah,
because like my love language is words of affirmation. Gil's is quality time, physical touch. And so you have to know that. You have to figure out how does the person I'm with. Gil always says it. Become a student of the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, because you're not going to get to know them and know what they want and need if you don't communicate.
Right. And that's going to be a whole nother video that we'll do multiple times. We'll do it again.
Yes, we will.
And then the last one we're going to talk about is support. Sometimes that can be kind of overlapping with nurturing because you're kind of doing some of the same things. But when we talk about support, it's talking about it from the thing of being in a relationship to where you know what are the ups and downs of your partner. What are the things that, have you ever had that time in that season where you know something is wrong or something is just off or you just don't feel right? Well, you know that because you've been investing, you've been spending time, and you've been a student of your significant other. So now you are in a position of supporting them and figuring out what is it that I can do to make their life a little bit easier.
Okay, so I'm going to give an analogy because, you know, that's just me. When I thought of support, ladies, do you know what it's like to have on a bra that has wire in it versus a bra that doesn't have wire?
Go ahead. I'm just listening to this one.
Support, healthy support is not like a wired bra. Because a wired bra, it can cut into your skin. It can make you feel uncomfortable. But a bra that's like a good sports bra that doesn't have any wire, but that holds you, like if you're trying to run or do something and nothing is moving around, that's the kind of support we're talking about. We're talking about a support that holds you close but doesn't hurt you. Because sometimes we think it's support, but it's really control.
Ooh.
And so we want support. We want to have the ability to give us the freedom. Like Gil, he didn't say, "Girl, you was like hairstyles. What you trying to do tech for?" That's not supportive. That's so support. Healthy support helps you stretch beyond your capacity and do things that they support. Helps you to see things. When someone's supporting you, they help you to see things that you don't see in yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think about it, these three things are not just for marriage, they're also for relationships. Your friends should love, nurture, and support you. Girl, I can't stand you. You get on my nerves. That's not very nurturing. You can't do that. Nobody's ever did it. That's not supporting. Mm-hmm. And so we need this in our lives.
And then we're going to move on to empathy. Empathy is another form of support when it comes to your relationship. We talked about it in the context of, we mentioned intimacy first. Mm-hmm. That's being honest, open, and transparent. Empathy is putting yourself in your partner's position and trying to get to a point of understanding where they're coming from. Doesn't mean that you're going to always agree, but it does mean you have to listen to them to understand where they're coming from, to be able to get a perspective about how they see things and how they view things. That's a part of being a student of your spouse. Yeah. The more you are in that vein or trying to navigate that area, you're going to find that you're going to be a whole lot more productive when it comes to being empathy. It may not be so quick to just judge or snap or respond before you really understand what's going on.
And I think the thing that to me that I love about empathy, and it's something I had to really work on developing, is that empathy is I'm listening and I'm present to understand. Mm-hmm. Not to change your view, not to make you see things my way, but to really lend myself in a way where I can help you hear and see things. Because I think sometimes men and women bring different things to the relationship. There's things that I bring that Gil didn't bring to the relationship. And empathy is understanding that and accepting it, and not always thinking that the other person, and I know we all have had a past, and I know we've had things that have happened to us, but we can't keep bringing our past into every single relationship that we're in. We have to sometimes have empathy towards ourselves. We have to be able to lend that same, all the things you were saying we're going to give to this other person. I can give Gil love and nurture and support because I give that to myself. Right. And if you're not in a relationship right now, you should be loving, nurturing, and supporting yourself. Then that way you know what it feels like for you. Because how can we tell somebody what we need when we really don't know
what you need?
What we need.
And then the last one we're going to give you, because Renee's battery is getting ready to die, is celebrate the accomplishments. When we get to, if you're loving, you're nurturing, you're supporting, and then they're getting better in their development, whatever that looks like, celebrate each other. That's something that I think gets overlooked and overshadowed because we tend to get complacent again in things that, or taking the little things for granted that we think, oh, don't take all that. It ain't that big of a deal. Well, Renee did something, and she can talk about it now, that she accomplished over the week, that it's a big deal.
Well, we're going to take our mics off and plug the phone in so we don't die. Let's do that. We just unplug that.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to take our mics off. We have our mics on. This is behind the scenes stuff, y'all. We have our mics on because we have a podcast. And the sound quality really does matter. But we want to be able to tell you guys what's next. What are we doing?
Okay, pause.
Look at that. Yay! Now we have power, y'all. We got the power. Okay. So you can finish. You wanna finish?
No, go ahead. No.
Oh, you wanna take the mic off? No. Okay. So guys, we have a new way to serve you. We have a mobile app. Yes, we have a mobile app. So if you have an Android phone, right now it's in the Google App Store, because we want to be able to have you guys to have help at your fingertips. We want to be able to be in your pocket. Because so many times we go to different places, we go to apps to find a mate. We go to apps to date. We need to go to apps to learn how to be the best version of ourselves. Before we find a mate, we need to find ourselves. Before we get a divorce, we need to make sure we have a good understanding of where we need to change. So our app is called Rich Marriage Mentors. please go and purchase it. It is $7.99. Yes, $7.99. And it helps us to help other couples. It helps us to take care of all the things. And so it is such a feeling of just gratitude, because now we have a place that's ours, y'all. It's ours. It's our place. It's our little place where we can come and meet and connect and grow and help each other. So go to the Google App Store, Rich Relationship. It's Rich RR Marriage Mentors, and purchase it and tell your family and friends and leave us a review. Let us know what you think about it.
So we hope you enjoyed this one. Just to recap real quick, it's love, nurture, support. Those are the key elements to keeping each other engaged in the relationship and not fulfilled and not looking to stray away.
Because people don't just stray. Okay, I'll say this. Sometimes people, it's just their nature to do that, and it has nothing to do with you. But these are some things that we realize are important for us as individuals and as well as couples to develop and cultivate. So now we want to open it up. Do you guys have any questions? Anything you guys want to know? Is there any questions in the comments?
Nope.
So if you guys have questions or things you want to know, we want to open it up now. That if you guys want to have a conversation, you have a question, something that you're thinking about. I invited a lot of our people from TikTok. Thank you for everybody from TikTok who is joining us tonight. If you join us from TikTok, say, hey, I came from TikTok. We're really grateful for the places that God is allowing us to be, because we realize that so many people won't go to a counselor, won't go to church, won't get help. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide you guys with a safe place to have real people talking about real life and the things we're going and growing through.
Yep. So we love you guys.
And we are glad you guys are here with us tonight. Again, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments. If you don't put it in there right now, you can always later on put them in. If you're watching live or if you're going to watch later on, please, please, please let us know your thoughts, what you need, and how we can better serve you.
Yep. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
We'll see you next Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Remember,
please share this video. Leave us comments. Watch more of our long content on YouTube. We create long content because we want to give you more than just 30 seconds or 15 seconds. So we try to make it at least 30 minutes.
Now remember, we're stronger together.
And we love you, and you are more than enough. So we'll see you guys next Saturday.
Bye.